Hey, this is Dan of Vagabond Buddha. Thanks for stopping by. This Quito, Ecuador cost of living and things to do video includes Quito top things to do, best Quito accommodations, best Quito restaurants, best Quito nightlife, Quito money saving tips, Quito safety and health risks, Quito livability factors, Quito cost of living, and final thoughts on Quito. Ecuador, my 64th country, my 11th year traveling. I am what some call a digital nomad. I live all over the world and make a living on my laptop wherever I am. I left the USA in 2007. Ecuador is my 64th country I've visited. I first shared my travels in a personal blog, but now I share my adventures here on Vagabond Buddha. Don't take notes as you listen. Everything I say is in writing with Google links to everything I discussed. Just click the link in the description below this YouTube video. You can also get a free PDF with Google links downloaded for future reference in case the internet is spotty when you travel. If you'd like to learn how to make money online as you travel around the world, there's a link to get a free ebook that explains how I do that. I'm traveling with Chung Hui of HoboVentures.com. Before Ecuador, we spent 6 weeks in Colombia visiting Bogota, Medellin, Cartagena, and Santa Marta. We crossed the border from Colombia to Ecuador by land so we could visit Jesuit Church sanctuary. Plus, the flights from Colombia to Ecuador are ridiculously overpriced. $375 one way per person. So we decided to take the land route. There's a link to my Otavalo Ecuador blog to learn how to save money going from Colombia to Ecuador. Otavalo was our first stop in Ecuador, and we spent almost 3 weeks there. It's so beautiful, you might be tempted to spend longer, but we only have 90 days on our Ecuador visa, and we have a bunch of other places we want to see before heading to Peru. So we headed to Quito next after Otavalo. In Otavalo, we caught the bus to Quito in the Terminal Terrestre. It was $2.50 per person. Again, there's links. Just click the link in the description below this YouTube video for links to everything I'm talking about. Buses leave Quito about every 30 minutes, so don't bother trying to buy an advance ticket. Just go to the terminal when you're ready and hop on the next bus. The bus ride lasted about 2.5 hours. Unlike Otavalo, the Uber taxi application works fine in Quito. From the Quito bus station to our Airbnb condo in La Floresta cost $8 using Uber. With Uber, you just enter your location in the application and it sets the price and directs your driver on the best route. This saves time and aggravation, especially if you don't speak Spanish. Just walk to the curb outside the bus station. The Uber application will direct the driver to wherever you're standing. Quito is the capital of Ecuador. Quito is 2,850 meters, which is about 9,300 feet above sea level, and is on the equator. Quito is located on the slopes of the Andes Mountains in an active volcano region. Quito has a population of almost 3 million people. It's the second largest population of a city in Ecuador. Quito, top things to do. I've put these top 10 in order of my favorites. If time is an issue for you, I would visit them in this order. The various Get Your Guide or Viator tours will offer a sorted combination of these recommendations, so you can pick one of the tours. Old Town Quito. If you've been following me, you know that I love the Spanish colonial city centers, most of which have 500-year histories and architecture. The Spanish built beautiful parks in the center of almost every city they inhabited. Quito, being the seat of the government for this region of South America, during Spanish rule is an exquisite example of colonial town centers. In fact, Quito is one of the first UNESCO heritage sites because it is so well preserved. Consider taking one of the walking tours because the old town, to cover the old town area of Quito. There's nothing like walking on ground with more than 1,000 years of human history and pausing in front of a building to learn who was assassinated there and why. The various Get Your Guide or Viator tours vary in price and what they cover. So pick one that suits you best. Make sure to read the comments and pick one that is well reviewed. If money is tight and you want to walk Old Town alone, then make sure not to miss these favorites. Start at Basilica del Vota Nacional. Make sure to pay the $4 entry fee per person and climb to the top of all 3 towers. Then walk down OE4 Venezuela 8 blocks south to Independence Square or Plaza Grande. Plaza Grande, Independence Square. Pause here and take in the grandeur of Old Town Quito. Here sits the seat of government, dating all the way back to Spanish rule. On the north side of the park is Palacio Arzobispal, the headquarters for the Ecuadorian branch of the Roman Catholic Church for 400 years in this area. To your west is Carondelet Palace, where the Spanish crown governed this part of South America, and since Ecuador's independence has served as the president's residence. A number of Ecuador's presidents have been assassinated in this residence. As you face the president's residence, go around the left side and get a free ticket to tour the inside. It is beautiful and fascinating, even if you don't understand your Spanish tour guide. Next, across the ticket booth, you will see Museo Metropolitano. This museum has a collection of art from the pre-Spanish period through to modern day. You're allowed to take pictures, just make sure to turn your flash off. Once you have completed your tour of the galleries, make sure to explore the entire building. Walk down every corridor and walk up and down every staircase. Some of your favorite photos from Quito will be taken on this site. Make sure you walk into the library and past it to see the gorgeous spiral staircases and 3-story courtyards. And go all the way to the roof and see the view of the surrounding area. Next, walk south on Garcia Moreno about 50 meters and walk into 𝐿 Church for a quick look before walking another 100 meters south to the Church of the Jesuits. Church of the Jesuits is the most elegantly golden ornamented church in Quito in the Baroque style of art and architecture. Jesuit priests first arrived in Quito in 1586 to establish a church, school, and monastery. But the construction of this church did not begin until 1606. It took 150 years to complete the church. If you happen to arrive during service, you can enter and see this magnificent place for free. Otherwise, it will cost you $5 per person to enter. No pictures are allowed inside the church. Next, as you face the Jesuit Church, walk around the left side of the church 1 block until you reach Plaza de San Francisco. Plaza de San Francisco Church is free to enter and is almost as beautiful inside as the Church of the Jesuits. Plus, you can take photos so long as you keep your flash turned off. Franciscan missionaries built the church starting in 1550 after Quito was founded by Spanish conquistadors. The church was finished in 1680, but has been dramatically expanded over the years. The church houses over 3,500 works of colonial-era art. Next, as you face the church, the street on your left is Simon Boulevard. Walk a block to your left on Simon Boulevard and then turn right on Garcia Moreno. Walk 1 block to the Museo de la Ciudad on the northwest corner of Garcia Moreno and Vicente Rocaforte. In this museum, you could easily spend a few hours. It has art, culture, and historical artifacts spanning hundreds of years, from before the Spanish invasion all the way to modern times. One of the most interesting exhibits in the museum is the displays of political activism that have occurred since Spain was ousted from Ecuador. Also, I really enjoyed the photos of the indigenous people taken over the last century. Hopefully it is starting to get dark and you are hungry. Walk out of the front of the museum and turn to the left on Garcia Moreno. Then turn left onto Calle La Ronda. Continue for 2 blocks and you will be in the historical walking party area of Old Town, Calle La Ronda. Calle La Ronda, this walking street lasts for about 4 city blocks. There are restaurants, coffee houses, nightclubs, street food, and great people watching. It is boring until after dark. Once things start jumping, you can see how the locals party the night away at various live and recorded music venues along the walk. Just listen for your sound and walk into a place that feels like you're seen. When you're done, just grab a taxi at any of the side streets and head home. This completes my walking tour of Old Town Quito. Again, I'm suggesting you book a tour with Get Your Guide or Viator. Links provided. So my tour is second best. Okay, next you have to visit the equator. The equator. The equator, or the middle of the world. When you're in Quito, you have to visit the equator. Just one of the tours, just book one of the tours with Get Your Guide or Viator. Make sure to pick one that has some social proof, such as likes and comments. The more the better. There are 2 official locations that they say is at the equator. The first equator line was located by some French scientists before the advent of GPS. The real equator was later drawn by the Ecuadorian military after the GPS satellites were launched into outer space. Make sure to book one of the tours that visits both locations. The good news is that both locations are only about 60 meters apart, and most tour companies visit both locations. If you only have time to visit one, I suggest that you visit the real equator. The science exhibits are more interesting there. At the real equator, you can watch water drain clockwise a few feet above the equator and counterclockwise a few feet below the equator. You can also walk on the actual equator and lose your balance more easily. Next, you need to head to La Floresta. La Floresta. This is a funky, chic, cool area of Quito. You can do this as a day or an evening walk. Start at Ocho Media Ecuador Cafe and Theater. Have a nice meal or coffee or beer. They also have an art house style movie theater downstairs in the basement with about 50 seats. Get movie tickets and come back later. Next, across the street from this cafe, there is a vacant, abandoned house that is fully covered in graffiti. All of the graffiti in the area makes for some great photos. So pose in front of this vacant house and take some photos. Next, walk 2 blocks to La Caleta and check out the bicycle decorations. Again, all of these places have Google Map links that you need to download. Go to the web page. La Caleta and check out the bicycle decorations. Next, walk 1/2 block to Quito Publishing House and check out the lobby area on the first floor. Next, walk out of Quito Publishing House and turn right. Check out all the great graffiti in the next block. Next, walk to La Plates and check out this American-style food carts venue with 12 different family-owned restaurants all in one food court. Okay, now, if you've enjoyed that, walk about 10 more blocks to the funky, cool neighborhood called 𝐕𝐽𝐝𝐻 Colonial. Start by walking to Tandana Restaurant for a cup of tea, beer or wine or food. From there, you'll have a great view of 𝐕𝐽𝐝𝐻 neighborhood as shown in the above picture. Then walk down from Tandana to 𝐕𝐽𝐝𝐻 Colonial Church and Convent. You will be walking down steps and very steep streets, cobblestone. Along the way, peek your head into some of the restaurants and take a picture or have another drink. You will see some gorgeous views. Make sure to go inside the 𝐕𝐽𝐝𝐻 Church when you reach the bottom. Grab a taxi when you're done exploring. For an amazing view of the city, check out Quito Cable Car. Quito Cable Car, or Teleférico de Quito, take a taxi to the base station for about $4 from most parts of the city. Once there, buy a round-trip ticket on the cable car for about $6 per person. It is one of the highest gondolas in the world. It rises from about 3,100 meters at the base, or 10,200 feet, to 3,900 meters, or 12,900 feet at the top. The view is spectacular, but dress appropriately. It can be much colder at the top because of the increase in wind and the elevation. Plus, if you enjoy hiking, plan on spending an hour or two at the top, hiking the various trails. If you enjoy hiking at high elevations, next you need to book a tour to Cotopaxi volcano. Cotopaxi volcano. We booked a full day tour. It started in the morning and we weren't back to Quito until 7 p.m. The tour takes you to the highest parking lot under the volcano, which is at 4,600 meters, or about 15,000 feet. Then you hike up to the base camp and restaurant, which is at about 5,000 meters, or 16,000 feet, depending on which tour you book. You may hike even higher. We hiked to the base of the glacier, which was at about 5,110 meters, or 16,765 feet. This will go smoother for you if you don't try to do this during your first few days in Quito. It takes a few days for your body to adjust to the altitude of Quito. Also, if you have any health issues or if you're getting on in years, you should speak to your doctor before attempting to hike at these high altitudes. Book your tour with Get Your Guide or 𝐕𝐽𝐝. Links provided. Next, you need to visit Plaza Folk. If you want to check out a high-energy nightlife or a few square blocks of different restaurant choices, head over to Plaza Folk. This is a high-energy party scene, more than the one mentioned above at Calle La Ronda, Walking Street. Just walk around the Plaza Folk in a 3 blocks area in almost any direction, and you will hear a multitude of different kinds of music, both live and DJ'd music. Of course, that would be in the evening, starting around 9 or 10. There's also an assortment of different types of food from all over the world and many coffee houses. Finally, if you're in the Quito area for more than 3 or 4 days, you should pop over to Otavalo for at least 1 day. Otavalo, Ecuador. I've provided a link to my blog. It includes my top things to do in Otavalo. Ideally, you have a couple of days or more to spend in Otavalo. You can grab a bus up there for about $2.50 one way. Saturday is the best day to go because it has the largest crafts market in South America. But you should really see more than just the Saturday market. So if you only have a day for Otavalo, I recommend you book a full day tour that will take you all around the area of Otavalo, not just the market. And you can book your Otavalo tour with Get Your Guide or 𝐕𝐽𝐝. Best Quito accommodations. I normally try to focus people within a fairly small, walkable, interesting area, but Quito really has a few very interesting areas to choose from. So I'm going to recommend places based on the type of experience you're looking for. Everyone seems to have a different style and comfort level, so I won't try to convince you where to stay. But here are some great choices. The Colonial Experience. This is a high-end luxury colonial hotel just one block off of the Grand Plaza, and it's quite expensive at $290 per night, unless it's running some kind of special. If that's not your cup of tea, but you still want to be close in and be in a beautiful old hotel, there's a second choice here for $98 per night. And that would be somebody who wants to be right in the colonial area where it's walkable and cobblestone streets and very romantic. The next two choices are, I'm calling party scene. There's an apartment here. If you want to be in the party area called Plaza Fuc, but want a class act apartment to bring the party home to, for $57 per night, there's a one-bedroom apartment you can get with a kitchen, fully stocked, with pots and pans and whatnot. And then if you're a backpacker type or a hostel, when you need a place to sleep when the Plaza Fuc party ends, does it ever end? There's a hostel here, a party hostel for $24 per night. The next choice is for a funky, cool neighborhood. This is the apartment where we stayed. You want to be in the funky, cool, chic area, La Floresta, but you also want an apartment with a kitchen, strong Wi-Fi, washer and dryer, pots and pans, a guard at the door, grocery stores and restaurants in walking distance at $27 per night. Use this Airbnb code for a discount if you're new. And then finally, price check whatever place you select using Hotels Combined. You just put the name of the place and it'll give you the agency that's offering that particular hotel or apartment or what have you, whichever one's offering the lowest price for it. Best Quito restaurants. We actually read restaurant reviews and tried visiting a few. We weren't really that impressed. So this is just a list of the best meals we had during our 3-week stay in Quito. And again, there's links to all this. You just have to go down and click that below this YouTube video. La Pricola, this is a traditional Italian restaurant in La Floresta. We enjoyed a caprese salad and a margarita pizza here. Nacho Libre, we had some great vegetarian nachos at this place. It's in Plaza Fuc. Chifa Feng Zhao. Chung Hui said this was the best Chinese food she had eaten since leaving Malaysia in this past October. Plus, both of our meals cost only $7.50, so it's delicious and of great value. Locra de papa. This is an Ecuadorian favorite dish that is also vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian, so this is what I order whenever we are out and about and found ourselves in a traditional Ecuadorian restaurant, which generally serves meat. I never got a bad bowl of this stuff, and nobody ever tried to sneak meat into my bowl. So I learned how to cook it at home also now. It's about $3 per bowl in most of the neighborhood type restaurants in Ecuador. Street food. I do most of the cooking in our Airbnb kitchen, and I'm vegetarian. So usually around 10 p.m., if Chung Hui is feeling like she would like some meat, we've found ourselves going out and finding her chorizo sausage or barbecued chicken. Near Floresta, that usually meant we ended up in walking to Parque Navarro for some of the street food carts there, which she enjoyed. Best Quito nightlife. Quito has several spots where adults go to have fun after about 10 p.m. We visited 2 of them. Plaza Fuc, as mentioned above, is an area where you see mostly 20 to 30-somethings that are looking for digital music venues. There are also some live music venues and a few hip-hop places. Just go down there and walk around until you hear music that makes you want to dance. You really only need to walk about a 3-block radius around Plaza Fuc to hear all the options that are available to you. This seems to be where backpackers are partying. Plaza Fuc is a more high energy party scene than the Calle Laurande walking street in Old Town Quito. In Calle Laurande, you're more likely to hear live music of Latin sounds and some DJ music. This Calle Laurande seems to cater more to locals and to international Latin travelers or people interested in Latin culture. Quito money saving tips. A SIM card. Purchase an Ecuador SIM card for $5 and add a 2 GB of internet data for $15 when you land in Ecuador. Make sure to unlock your phone before leaving home so it will work with a foreign SIM card. Transportation. I already explained how to get to Quito by bus from Otavalo. Taxis are cheap and honest in Quito, so don't freak out if Uber isn't ready. Just flag down a taxi. Also, you can catch a bus from almost any part of Quito to Old Town for 25 cents. If you figure this out, you'll not only save money, but you'll feel like a travel warrior. We never felt in danger riding on the buses. Onward flights. One-way tickets can be a problem in South America. Some carriers won't let you board your flight, so book a ticket on Orbitz before boarding your flight to Ecuador. Orbitz will let you cancel the ticket, so book right before jumping on your flight and cancel when you land. You have to cancel within 24 hours of booking. Quito safety and health risks. Quito is really safe. It felt really safe to us. Ecuador is a safe country in general. Check the Center for Disease Control webpage and make sure you are up to date on all the recommended vaccinations. The recommended vaccinations vary depending on where in Ecuador you plan to visit. If you're going to an area with yellow fever risk, that shot must be administered 10 days before you fly. Quito Old Town, livability factors for Quito. Quito Old Town is perfectly walkable. We only jumped in taxis when moving to different areas of town. No matter where you are in the world, don't walk down empty, dark streets at night. Stay out of situations where you're isolated, unless you're in a group of people. The internet was great until around 4 or 5 p.m. After work and school, when people came home, the internet was slow. From 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. is great. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., the internet works fine. So just arrange your day accordingly. Food costs in Quito didn't seem any cheaper than the U.S. The weather in Quito is cool, but hardly ever warm or hot. It's 12 C to 24 C. That's the low and high for most days year-round. The weather doesn't vary that much because it's at the equator. Quito is, and then Fahrenheit, that's about 47 Fahrenheit to 74, so it's quite comfortable. Quito's at about 2,850 meters, which is 9,350 feet above sea level. This is why it remains so cool, even though it's at the equator. Always wear sunblock and a hat. Being at the equator and so far above sea level will lead to rapid, deep sunburns. Quito cost of living. Below is estimated cost of living for 1 month in Quito for a temporary visitor. Some of these estimates could be reduced as a long-term visitor. For example, we saw a 1-bedroom furnished apartment for $550 per month in La Floresta. Plus, cooking at home could save money. The low for Quito for a month, this is for one person, is $1,000. And the high is about $1,500. And the costs vary based on the quality of the accommodation and then the kinds of food you're eating, whether you're eating at high-end restaurants or neighborhood restaurants or food carts. And also these costs are for a single person. The second person, of course, in general, there's no more cost of accommodation. So when you make that adjustment, if there's 2 of you, the per person cost is dropped. Final thoughts on Quito. Quito is a city of almost 3 million people. So I thought it would feel dangerous. but I never felt in danger at any point during our visit. The old town area of Quito is really beautiful, and you could spend weeks really exploring it. Quito is surrounded by very green, extremely tall mountains. It seems to rain a little more than Otavalo and never seemed to warm up as much. The combination of low cost of living and numerous unexplored areas of Quito, along with the friendly, honest people and numerous green areas for hiking and communing with nature, made me feel like I could live here for a few years without any trouble. Quito has the amenities of a large city without all of the negative aspects I have come to associate with larger cities around the world. Ecuador in general is quickly becoming one of my top 5 favorite countries in the world. Now we are off to explore Cuenca, Ecuador, which is further south. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner? If you are tired of only 4 weeks vacation per year and want to start living internationally, subscribe to Vagabond Buddha and I will send you a free copy of my book, How I Fired My Boss and Have Traveled for Over 10 Years. If you've enjoyed this video, please like the video, leave a comment below, and click subscribe. To learn more about how I've traveled, please, and how I make a living, feel free to get a free copy of my book. Thanks for stopping by. This is Dan of Vagabond Buddha.